What's up, guys? This is Return to Tennis. I'm Aaron. Thanks for returning. So we're all set up. We're going to get inside here and hit some more flexible rackets. This is part 2 of our flexible racket series. We have 4 more rackets on the docket for today. We're going to see how this goes. Last time, the big standouts for us were the Head Speed Pro 360, the Graphene 360, and the Astuza Power Beam. The issue I had with the Power Beam, although I really like how it feels, it's really flexible. It's a 61 RA. It's a little heavy. The Head Speed is a 63 RA, and it's a little closer to what I need. It's not too heavy. It's under 330 grams. The RA is better at 63. We recently restrung that to just try to soften it up a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But let's get inside and see how these other rackets go. All right, guys, here we go. First up, the Fisher Vacuum Pro from 1995. I picked this frame up last year. It's a fun frame. I really do like this, and it's nice to have a Fisher racket like this in my collection. Right out the gate, I was hitting this pretty well. I was kind of surprised. It's been a while since I've swung it. Not sure, that was a nice shot. Not sure what the RA is on this one. I got conflicting information online. I saw someone mentioned it was a 65. I saw someone listed at 63, 61, 59, 57. Someone said it was a 65 but felt like a 61. I'm not sure what it is. I could not find any specific results that would tell me exactly what the RA was. It feels somewhere between 63 and 65. It's not in that lower range. It is an older frame, so it doesn't have a lot of the modern dampening technology. So it plays a little rougher, I guess you could say. The upside is that it gives a lot of feedback. If you're hitting it well, you know. If you're a little off, the frame lets you know right away you're a little off. It's strung with the Toro Line Wasabi Red, which is a string I like. And it was a really solid hit. I did actually play a few games of a match with this last year. I ended up putting it back in the bag after about 3 games. I could not for the life of me get a serve in with it, so I think I would have to spend more time just on serve with this racket before I'd feel comfortable with it. But it does a great job of allowing me to hit into the court kind of anywhere I want. I was pretty good at redirecting pace with this racket when I did use it. And it hits really nice. I mean, the Fishers were popular in the community for a reason. And I'm glad I was able to score 3 or 4 different Fisher frames for my collection before they kind of just become difficult to drag or difficult to track down. Oh, not that shot though. Oh, there's another one. Move your feet, fool. Dead ball. But it was a good hit. Is it providing the kind of comfort that I would need to consider putting it in the bag as a frame that I'm going to play for the sake of my arm? Probably not. Probably not. I don't think it's flexible enough and providing enough comfort for me to do that. There's a nice shot. Little drop action. Boom, there it is. Perfect. All right, next up on the list, racket number 2 of the day. A little quick switch out here. Is the Yonex Ezone Tour from 2020. I strung this with Y-Texas Hexagon X. The RA for this racket is listed as 62, which kind of surprised me. It seemed kind of low for an Ezone. I'm used to my Ezone 100, which has an RA of like a 69, really stiff, but a great frame. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with this racket. Everybody that reviewed this racket talks about how great it was. For me, it's a matter of what day of the week I'm hitting it. You ask me one day, I'll tell you it's a great racket. I absolutely love it. It's one of the best I've ever hit. And then another day I'll be like, no, that racket's junk. I hate it. I don't know what it is. I'm not able to consistently hit this racket well. Unfortunately, it looks like today is one of those days where I'm not going to hit it well. I have difficulty kind of dialing in how to come across the ball with this racket. Once I figured it out, I do hit it much better, but I can't. Let's see, that was nice. Why can't I do that all the time? See, and right in the tape. But it's very inconsistent for me. I'll pull this out of my bag on a live ball or a drills day and play it, and I'll hit fantastic, and then I'll pull it out of my bag the very next drills session, and I can't do anything with it right. I can't hit balls in at all. So I don't know. I think it might be the string tension. I did string this at 48 pounds, which is the lowest I've ever strung a frame. I just don't think I can get a good feel for how I come through the ball at that low of a tension. It is fairly comfortable. I mean, I don't get a lot of weird vibration out of the frame. It is, fairly good on my arm. It is still a little heavy. It's at 339 grams, which is the same weight as, my Yonex V-Core Pro HD. 339 grams. It's the same weight. A little heavy. And the way things are playing, it seems that the heavier the racket is, the lower I need the RA to be. And I think at 339 grams, 62 RA is not low enough. There's a good one. See, if I could just have, instead of moments of brilliance, if I could have just consistent, ball striking, I'd be happy. Well, that one's a little deep. It comes through the air well. It's fairly maneuverable. It's really solid when it strikes the ball. There we go, a couple in a row. But it does take me kind of a while to get dialed in, and it's holding me back with this frame. Not horrible, but I would say I definitely hit the Fisher Vacuum Pro better than this one. That was a nice shot. Little drop, perfect. Okay, so next up in the list, we have a racket number 3, which will be the Pacific XForce Pro number 1. This is also coming in at 339 grams. I had to bulk the handle up. The grip was too small. I had to bulk the handle way up to make it feel a weight that, I had to make the grip feel comfortable for me. It was like a 4 1/4, and it was too small. After I added some wrap on the grip to kind of get it up to closer to a 4 1/2, which is what I prefer. It was up there in weight. It's 339 now. 63 RA. It is the same exact mold as the Fisher Vacuum Pro. Actually, they are the same mold, but they do play differently. Pacific has, of course, added their own innovations and their own materials to the layup, so it is a different racket. The molds may be the same, but the feel is completely different. The Pacific is more comfortable. It is much more comfortable. I don't get the same kind of feedback out of it, but it is an easier time on my arm if I mishit the ball. The issue with it is the sweet spot is really small. It is a really small sweet spot. To give you an example, the Astuza Power Beam is a 92 square inch racket, and it is easier for me to find the sweet spot on that racket than it is on this Pacific XForce Pro #1 with a 98 square inch head. I don't know why the sweet spot is so small on this frame, but it is. But on the flip side of it, when you hit it clean, it is a joy to hit. That wasn't it. Very controlled, very precise, excellent when it comes to hitting targets. I'm able to kind of push the ball into the court where I want it to be. And because it's so underpowered, if I get a good lineup on a shot, I can kind of just swing on it and not be too concerned with overhitting as much. But you really do have to generate your own power with this frame. Almost. Again, it's the same RA as this Headspeed Pro, but it's about 12 grams heavier, and that's the difference here. I need that below 330 weight, I think, with a lower RA setting to be a little easier on my arm. Unfortunately, rackets at that weight and lower RA are kind of difficult to find. Oof. There was a good one. Dropper. A little bit. Getting ready to switch out here. There it is. Oh, right into the tape. All right, guys, we are on to our final racket in our flexible frame series. Bit of a surprise, something recently acquired. The Boris Becker Delta Core London Tour from 2011. Now, why the Delta Core London Tour? Well, it has a head size of 93 square inches. It has an RA of 55. It is the lowest RA racket I have. It was a bit of a struggle to find this racket. I thought, 11, 12-year-old racket should be easy to find on eBay. There'd probably be a ton of them on eBay. Nobody want them. There were none on eBay except one, and it was in Australia, and the guy wanted like $400. Yeah, that's no. That's a no for me. That's going to be a no for me. So I found one on Amazon. There was a guy on Amazon. He had a store. He had new old stock, and I was able to get one from him for half that, which is still pretty pricey for a 11 or 12-year-old racket. But why did I want it? Well, I really liked the Astuza Power Beam. 92 square inches, 61 RA, old Boris Becker mold. So I started hunting for something similar with a lighter weight, because that one was at 343 grams. Lighter weight, low RA. I checked the other Astuzas. They were all higher in weight and stiffer. They weren't going to work. I checked the Puma frames. He used to play for Puma. Same thing. Even if the RAs were low, the rackets were really heavy, like 357, 360 grams. No way. So I thought, well, who else did Boris Becker work with? Well, he worked with Vocal. Started looking at the Vocal frames. There were some interesting options there. Again, some of them were too heavy. And then finally, I looked at the Boris Becker line of rackets, the Boris Becker rackets. And I came across this one. This one, with its 55 RAs at 337 grams. That is strung with the dampener. It was very nice. Not quite as heavy, a little heavy, but not quite as heavy, but a lot more flexible. I played this one in drills recently, and I actually hit this racket for 45 minutes before I realized I didn't have my arm brace on. That's how flexible it is. That's how much comfort it provided to my arm. I really do enjoy it. I don't know if I'll be able to play it consistently yet. I'm still kind of feeling it out. I had it restrung with, well, strung for the first time. It's never been strung till now, with Ohm's Alu Pearl Rough at, I think, 53 pounds is where I went, or 58. I can't remember. I'm like 3 pounds over minimum. But it hits really clean. It's very controlled. I was really impressed with how easily it absorbed pace. So if I had someone drill a ball at me and I got my racket on it, the racket was so flexible that it would absorb that energy and allow me to redirect the ball. So I really like how it feels. So it seems for me, my perfect racket, or my, ultimate kind of feel racket for me that's going to be best for my arm is going to be in that under 330 gram range and probably 60 RA or lower. So that's kind of what we're going to start looking for. We got a couple rackets in mind, but we'll see if we can track them down. Well, there you go, guys. There's our 4. The Fisher Vacuum Pro, the Yonex Ezone Tour 98, the Pacific XForce Pro #1, and the surprise racket, the Boris Becker Delta Core London Tour. For me, it felt like the older rackets, the Vacuum Pro and the London Tour, were the best. They hit the best for me today. I really like the London Tour. Super low RA, a 55 RA. Very comfortable in my arm. Still a tad bit heavy, but I don't notice it as much. With that low RA, it really kind of compensates for the weight. So after having tested so many rackets over a course of over a year now, I think I've kind of figured out my sweet spot. I need a racket that's less than 330 grams and with an RA of 60 or lower, which unfortunately doesn't leave us a lot of options. There are a couple rackets that fall into that category I'm keeping my eye on. I'm going to try to probably pick them up later this year at some point. Another racket that I've really been considering is the Head Extreme Tour. It has an RA of 63, the same as the Speed Pro. I like spin frames. I like the Dunlop SX300. I like the Wilson Shift. I really like how they rotate the ball and allow me to really drive the ball with a good spin. The problem is they're too stiff. And there's not really anybody making a spin frame that has a exceptionally low RA. The Head Extreme Tour is a 63. I think one of the new V-Cores that Yonex has is a 62. Not sure. But again, I'm still not at that 60 mark. I'd like to hit that 60 or a little lower. But we're gonna try to get a hold of some of these later in the year. Feel them out. Other than that, we played UTR. Give you a little UTR updates. From now on, I'm probably just going to put UTR updates on my Instagram. Unless I have video footage of the matches, I don't really see a need to do a video log for those anymore. But we did play last weekend. We split. We lost the first match 4-0, 2-4 in the tiebreaker at 7-10. And we won the second match 4-0, 4-3, 7-5 in the tiebreaker. Played well. I used the head speed. It went pretty well. I kind of got a groove with it. I know I can serve it now. It serves much better now. There was something wonky in my follow-through that was throwing me off with that racket, but now it feels pretty good. I also recently restrung it to try to soften it a little bit. I restrung both it and the Dunlop. I did a Square X Sharp with a multi-filament cross string to try to soften it up a little bit. I hit both of those also today off camera. I could not feel any difference in the frame when it came to the Speed Pro, but the Dunlop SX300 did feel softer using that setup. I noticed a difference in the feel on that one. Is it enough that I'll be able to play it and not have it really bother my arm? I don't think so, but we might try. In any case, guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. May all your returns be for winners, and we now return you to your regular scheduled programming.